Thank you for that great introduction. I did fill in all that bio, which is good. Right, so yeah, I'm from the UK, if you haven't already guessed from my accent. And so this is, so we're going to just basically talk about microbit classroom. So I'm hoping that everyone here, of course, has maybe heard of it a little bit, but of course is here to sort of have a go. And basically, we're going to do a live demo of this. I'm actually going to show you how to do it, and you're going to be students in my classroom, and we're going to have a go, and you're going to see what it looks like from a student point of view, and then I'm going to show you it from a teacher point of view. Okay, just so you know why I occasionally look to my left. I've got more than one screen, so I'm presenting in a few different ways. They're the links. That link will go to this slide deck, which I will share with you at the end. If you're very quick on making notes, you of course can take that down. But I am going to share a slide deck with you. But most of this session will be live. Okay, so this is why I really like microbit classroom. This has happened during the lockdown that of course many schools have been involved in, and during the lockdown in England, we of course went remote learning completely. And one of the things that I was lucky enough to do was I managed to send microbits out to some of my students in my school. But then we used microbit classroom, which was still quite new then, it was quite early. And I was using it remotely with children in order to teach them, but also see what they're doing and look at their code. And that's something that's really interesting about what microbit classroom actually do. Because sometimes you want to be able to grab a sample of what the kids are doing. Of course, you can walk around the room, but of course, this allows you to grab it and actually get real good evidence, so you know what children have actually accomplished in the lesson. Because sometimes, especially certain children, I'm talking with primary age children, so we're talking up to age 11, sometimes maybe they don't necessarily capture everything they need to and present that to you in a way that's easy to understand, whereas this tool can allow you to do that. And it also can let you save all the children's work in one go and then reload it the following lesson as well. So it removes some of those barriers that you might see with younger children in terms of getting them to work on a programming project over a number of weeks. Okay, so we are going to have a go. So I would like you, please, to open up another tab browser. Okay, you can you might have to flip between some tabs, and I'd like you to go to microbit.org/join. I'll put that in the chat as well. And what you're going to do is you are going to fill in. Oh, thank you very much, Martha. What you're going to do, I'm going to put something else on your screen. I'm going to share over. What you're going to do is you're going to fill in this information for me, okay? And this will allow you to join my live classroom, okay? So I'm just going to let you have a go. Oh, Sarah's joined instantly. Okay, so I'm going to let everyone a few minutes to do. We've only got there is a limit to the number of people you can do this with in any one time, but the number of people I've got in the chat will in the session will mean it's fine. There's a limit of 30 children. You can't have more than 30 in there. Yeah, it is true. It is stuck in English, isn't it? That is an interesting point, Richard. Hopefully, with time and feedback, I suppose all I can suggest to you is hit that feedback button and go and say, how do we get this in different languages? So I've got one person who's joined. Is anyone else going to join? Give it a couple of I'll give you a couple of minutes to see if you can do that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how this works live. So the more people have got logged in, you'll actually see how it works with students. I'm just going to give it another thingy. We've got Lisa. Hello, Lisa. It is sometimes the way you sign into it, you might go, oh, it's a bit complicated. But the nice thing about this is the fact you don't need usernames and passwords. None of that is needed at all. The children just have to be able to click on those 4 icons and then put in the PIN code. And if you restart your project, which again I'll talk about later on, if you start your work in another week, they will still have to put in these PIN codes and icons, but it will let you start up your work quite quickly. I'm going to give it 30 more seconds. What I am going to do, I'm going to paste this in the chat so people can join in if they decide to. Oh, Martha's already done it, which is excellent. And then the PIN code. Is she going to beat me to it? There's the PIN code as well. Oh, Martha, wonderful. Thank you very much. So we've got 5 people in, which is great. Okay, so this is me in the teacher view. You as a student are looking at something that looks like this. I quickly click on it. So you're looking at this, which is, of course, is the MakeCode editor that we're all familiar with. Now, what I could do within a lesson, of course, I could say to you, right, today we're going to do, we're just going to scroll some text. We're going to create an animation. We're going to create a light sensor, for example. We're going to do a teleporting duck, for example. Any of those activities you can come up with. And what's nice is you can pull code from the Make Code website into Classroom quite quickly. But I'm going to do something a little bit different, because one of the things that is quite powerful with this tool is sharing code with students. So what I could do is I could put some code on there for a Parsons problem. Okay, so for those of you who aren't aware of what a Parsons problem is, it's basically where you get a whole bunch of code, you're given all the blocks, and it's sort of like a puzzle for the children to put together. So if I wanted, for example, let's create an animation. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to drag the blocks you're going to need to create a simple animation. Okay, so I'm going to drag these blocks on. I'm going to give you 2 pause blocks, and I'm actually going to put an input block. So I want to create an animation that will work when you push the A button, for example. And what I can do is I can hit the share code with students, and then it will send this code, what's on my screen, to the students in the room. I will say one health warning with this: it will wipe anything you've done. So all the people who've already logged into it, all these people, if you've got something on your screen, it will delete your work. So I would only ever do this at the beginning of a lesson, never halfway through, because it would ruin what they're doing. But it's a good way of starting off. So I'm going to send this code to everyone. Click done. You have got a button that pops up that will tell you to do something with your code. So hopefully everyone will see some code in front of them. So why don't you quickly try and do what I've just asked? Can you make a very quick animation, a two slide animation that works when you push the A button? We don't need to worry about downloading or anything, but just can we get something up on screen? I'm going to give you about a minute or so to do that. Yep, that is good, Sarah. I like that. So I'm looking at the chat while people are working. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click on student code, which of course this is the important bit. And this is where I can actually see what people are doing live. I say live. What it's doing is showing you the blocks that are snapped together. Any blocks that are off by themselves, you can't see. It's only blocks that are sort of actively running. So they all have to be colored in. But I can look through the work and I can see what Sarah's done. So she's got a very simple animation. I can look at Richard's work. So I'm just picking people at random now. And you should see, hopefully in a second, it will load. And what I can do, of course, is share this code with other people. But again, if you share the code with individuals or everyone, it wipes the code that's in front of them. So again, be careful. Ah, good. Yeah. So it has done it. Yeah. Oh, good. It did do that. Sometimes things update and you don't see it live. But yeah, I can share code. You can share code with individual students as well. So again, it could be just 2 children are a little bit behind, and we're just going to share a bit of code to get them up and running. Let's quickly look at Armin. Now, if you accidentally fall offline, which is what Nadia may have done, I don't know if she's still in the chat, you can rejoin quite easily, and I'll quickly show you what that looks like in a second. Or you can try that if you want to, Nadia. All you've got to do is you have to go back to the join, go back to the same, put in the same dashboard information, and then there'll be a drop-down list, and you can choose, should be able to choose your name off of the list, and you can come back into it. That's the only way of doing it, but because this session had you in it, you should be able to rejoin in theory. It depends if it was an accident or something like that, but you should be able to rejoin. I've got this on the slides. It looks something like this. So if you rejoin a class, and this will come up. So you can type, you can enter a new name, or you can start to look at the little drop down, or you can start typing the name in, and it will come up as well. So this presentation I will share with you, and it's got just little hints of how to do all these things. So let me just quickly go back to the main screen. Scroll back up. I can collapse all that down if I don't need to see it anymore, because again, I just want to see who's actually involved. And there we go. You're back in. Yay! Great. See, it worked. Cool. Excellent. Right. Yeah. The name doesn't appear. Yeah, you have to type your name and then it works. So sometimes that is a bit of a problem with children who have that issue. So I say children, students. So let me just quickly go back. So we'll go back to a student code, and then we've got, so we should now see, and here we go, people are starting to play around with it, which is absolutely fine. You do see the code that is sort of orphaned off, I suppose. So we've got this again. This is not about how to use MakeCode. It's more about using this tool within the classroom environment. Let me just have a look. So everyone has got something going. And so what you can do with this now, of course, is I can display this on my screen if I want to and talk through with children. Or why have you done that? So it gives a real nice way of one sharing code with everyone, but also allowing you to dive a bit deeper and ask questions to children about the code, that your learners, about what they're doing and why. And that's something I think I know in England we talk quite a lot about in terms of pushing a bit deeper and trying to get children to explain clearly what they're doing, because they need to have a good understanding of what all these blocks do. And it's not in some respects it's fine if it just works, but of course if they can't explain coherently what it is they're doing, you often sometimes have to question about their actually understanding. Now, something that's really useful, so if this was something we're working on over a couple of weeks, you've worked on it for a few lessons, you can then download all the work. So again, if you needed this for evidence, you wanted it for the children's evidence, or you wanted it to assess, you can click this button, and what will happen is it will generate a Word document, which I will show you what it looks like live. It takes a minute to do it, and for every learner in the class, it will give you a single A4 page with all their code, which is again really, really nice. Again, you can use that for evidence if you need it, but again, it could just be useful for assessment. So I'll just quickly show you what it looks like. This is just opening on a different screen, so once it's loaded, I'll move it across. So here we go. So this is what it looks like. This is work in progress. That's important. Number of students, all the work. So I can click and it takes you straight to the page. And then I've got, this is me, that's my teacher view. And then we've got each one's work all the way through. So again, really useful for teachers in terms of assessment, because sometimes you looking out on the computer maybe, or especially within the tool itself, it can be a bit challenging. Now, if you want to work week to week and actually want to be able to continue it, this is where the Save Classroom box comes in. Now, as you're working, something you will have noticed, let me go back a step. There is a button somewhere up here where you can finish your work. It doesn't appear on my screen because, of course, I'm not a student. This is where you would pair your device or connect your device. So if you were going to download it to the microbit, you would do it exactly the same way you would in the normal MakeCode. I do notice, though, that it says pair device still, and on MakeCode it says connect device. So that's something probably I need to report to MakeCode about that, because that needs to change, because, of course, you want it's similar for both. But yeah, that you click that, it's going to pair the device in the same way. You can download it to the microbit, and that's something I'd always encourage to make sure the children are getting it actually on their actual microbit, not just doing it on the simulator. But going back to Save Classrooms, so you've got a couple of choices here.
Nick, I just wanted to jump in for a minute because there's a couple of questions that
are
relevant right now. So one is a comment from Richard just talking about when you say that you can watch the student as they're doing their work, how do you build that trust between the students so they don't feel like you're watching their camera in terms of using the classroom element? And then the second piece is, can this link out to Google Classroom there?
So the Google Classroom, yes, 100% you can use it in Classroom. Simply, you would go to, you'd share the link, the MakeCode.org, you'd share all this information on Classroom, basically. I've done it. So you'd share that link on Classroom, you copy and paste all that in, post it into the stream or into the assignment. The only thing is you have to have it live to work. So in order for children to connect to the session, just like you guys did, it has to be a live session. So you can't create this, you can't get this information until you've actually gone in to make a session. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute when we get towards the end, because we've talked about it quite a lot as it a student, what it looks like while we're doing it, and then I'll show you how to make it. But you have to make it for them to join it, because this is all generated at that point. But you can do it depending on how things. So it's a good question. Now, Richard, in terms of yeah, well, you can see their code. That's all you can see them. That's it. So you can see your code. If you look at what's happening, the only thing we can see is their code. In terms of seeing what they're doing, no, I suppose it's a misspoke in the way I've explained it, but you can't see their code live. They're not sharing their screen. They are all you can see is you see their code. To be honest, it was never an issue when we did remote learning with the pupils I've been working with. Often they would want to share the screen with me to show me what they were doing. Actually, we did it the other way. So again, I suppose it depends on your students and making sure that trust element is there. Hopefully that answers your question, Richard. Cool. So once you've finished your work, some of you might have even decided I've finished. There you go, Lisa's finished. You can restart even though if you've finished, and you've given me a little bit of an assessment, which is quite nice. If I now download your work again, it will show me how you've assessed yourself. But what we're going to do is save the classroom. So I can download the classroom file to my local computer. I can end the session then once it's done. So I'm just going to show you, we're just going to click it. It just downloads a HTML file, which I've not delved into, but there's just a load of data in it. It's basically all the blocks you've got. I can then end the session. I won't end the session now because some of you might still be playing, but basically you can end the session. And then, of course, you can resume a session by double-clicking the file you've got, and it will start the session up again. So that's quite nice. It's really simple to restart it. You basically, and then you have to reshare how to join. And then, of course, if I go back to my presentation over here, it'll ask you to join the classroom again. So it's important that they remember their name. Otherwise, they won't be rejoining in the same way. So by rejoining it at the end of the classroom. So this is what it looks like for how you feel. So how do we set up a classroom? So let me just do that. Let's do that live, shall we? So if I go to classroom, microbit. In fact, let's do it. I'm just going to show you actually from, if I go to microbit.org, because this is the bit, we always remember the one website, don't we? You can have more than one session running as well. That's worth pointing out. If we go over to, this is where I'm going to forget how to do it. Let's go to Let's Code, I think it is. Good. And you've got 3 options. Okay, so it's built into the website. You've got your MakeCode editor, Python editor, and then, of course, your microbit classroom. So click on this. You can go straight there to go classroom.microbit.org. Now, this is just telling me, oh, you've already got something running because I've already got something running. So it's trying to help me there a little bit. I called mine session 1. I'm going to say delete the recovered data. Hopefully that won't kill what we were doing. Maybe it will. Let's see what happens. And then this is what you do to create it. As simple as give it an activity name. The name really doesn't matter what it is. Choose your programming language. I'm a primary school teacher. The children only up to the age of 11, so K something or other for those up to K, I don't know, 7 or 8. I don't know what it is actually. But yeah, so I'm working with younger children, so MakeCode is the highest we need to worry about at that level. And then you basically click Launch Classroom. I always have this turned on, and then you just click Launch Classroom, and then it brings you straight to the page, this instructions page, which tells you what to do. And the bit, again, you need to share is the dashboard under the joining details, and you can see it's different already straight away. And this is the data, this is the information you have to paste into Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, depending whatever platform you're using. This is what you need to paste in, but you only get this information at this point. So you have to have it. You have to have it running. Now you can leave it running for as long as you want. I've used to do it when I was running it with students. I'd have it set up an hour before, and it'd just be sitting as a tab open, and I've shared the information. So therefore, when this lesson starts, the children can start logging in straight away. But that's just something I started to do. But yeah, it can be as simple as that. So let me just close that. Let's leave this. So this is my original one still, because it should be still running in theory. It may not be, but let me just go back to my dashboard and see. Yep, all of these people have finished. And go back to the student code and have a look. Again, it wasn't about the activity today. It was more about you just having an explore of what the classroom tool actually does. And yeah, it comes back to here. So again, if you wanted to download it again, resuming classroom is just double clicking the file. I won't do that live just because some people might still be logged in, but it is just as simple as then resharing the information and going from there. I'm just going to go back to my presentation, just go through if there's any bits I've missed.
As a student, I love how when you submit your finish, you get a little Sally moment of recognition.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, which is quite nice. So let me just go back to here. So this is Microsoft Classroom. This is telling what. So all of this I will share with you momentarily. Dashboard talks about that. Talks about student code. How to save your classroom. This is what it looks like when you resume. When you double click it, this pops up, and you just click resume classroom. And that is it. That is Microbit Classroom in a nutshell, I will say. So, are there any other questions? I'm happy to talk for longer, but equally, if I've said everything I need to say, it means you can have 5 minutes extra break between now and the next session. Let me just copy this link so people can take copies of my slides. The slides are written just for you to share with other teachers. They're basically there as a sort of reminder of how to do it. It's not. I'll post it into the chat, and you may take copies of that if you would like. I'll pause for any questions.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for posting the link there. I'm sure everybody's grabbing it right now. As Nick said, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat.
It's absolutely fine. I'm happy to. It's better to finish early and have to do it all together. How do you change the language in the classroom editor? That is a brilliant question. I don't know if it's possible, to be honest. Let's have a little look. Because normally it appears under here, doesn't it? So no, it doesn't look like it's possible. It says connect device to there. So as I said, I think that's definitely something to take to them and say to Microbit, or why can't we change the language to other languages? Because I'd like it to be in my language. I'm guessing, Richard, you work from a different thing. Oh, good. Thank you. Oh, you should have led with the answer, Richard. Don't ask me the question. Lead with the answer.
Well, now he's got everybody engaged. He knows.
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
But I floundered for a little while. So if you go to, so Richard just said, if you go to makecode.microbit.org. I'd love to know. That's not useful test, but anyway. So you go to the language, which is somewhere. Shows are often because the language in Scratch is like really signposted, but the language here, I know, is where I thought it was. Click language, so choose it to. This is gonna be difficult. What our language? Let's try French because at least I vaguely understand French. And then if you go into the make code, so then if I go to classroom. How you do it? I wonder if you refresh the page, it fixes it. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe that is a quicker way of doing it, Richard.
Done.
Once you've made the change in your browser, I just refresh the Microbit Classroom and it goes straight into French, because it's clearly a browser that's happening on the local files. It's not. So maybe that's quicker. I don't know. It depends if you start in English or you want to start in French, or whatever language you're going to. But yeah, all I did there was just refresh the page, and it's gone straight into French. So maybe that's a way. There's a live solution to it to make it a bit quicker. But yeah, it seems like that's the only way to do it at the moment. But I would definitely go put that as a feature request and go, can we have it? Because there's no good reason why you can't have the gear. I can't see any good reason why you can't have it. But interestingly, of course, that menu is still out of date. It's still in English, even though and pair devices should say connect device. So maybe there's just something in the background. I suppose it's worth pointing out the Microbit Classroom is still in beta. It's never come out of beta. It still says beta very clearly at the top. Hopefully at some point it will come out of beta because it's been around for quite a while. But again, I suppose this is why this session even exists, because not enough people probably know about Microbit Classroom and are actually using it. So it's a tool that I use all the time when I'm using, even in class. I do use it because it's just a good way of being able to see the kids work. gather it all together and also push code out to children in a way that it's more challenging to do with microbit using MakeCode versus using Scratch, for example.
I know a lot last year when everybody was online, it was a great tool for remote learning options too. So
yeah, that's how I discovered it and how I started using it, because it was proper beta then. It was absolutely, things changed while I was using it.
We were all beta then, Nick.
Yeah?
We were all beta then, learning how to teach online.
Yeah, it's true. Right. Any other questions? Hopefully, Richard, I've not helped you, but I maybe found a slightly quicker way by doing it once and hitting refresh, and then it's done. But yeah, other than that, I think my time is nearly up. I think, is that right?
We still have a few more minutes, but that.
Oh, okay.
What I was going to say is help@microbit.org is a great email for you to ask these questions if we weren't in a live scenario, and for being able to think through this together. Help@microbit.org goes straight to the tech team, and so they love these type of questions and the reflections that Nick have given, even in terms of the menu and the format. So please be as generous with your thoughts and ideas as you are here with the foundation, so that they can track this and address the questions and the improvements that you would suggest.
I'll quickly add one thing then while we have a few more minutes. This is, I mentioned this in passing, but if you go to any project within the MakeCode website elsewhere, you can click and open the code directly in Classroom. So if you know this is the project we're doing and this is what we're going to start with, by clicking the Open in Classroom button, it will actually start the classroom up, pull the data in, and then allow children to start, and then you can get children to connect to it, which I quite like. Again, if you're using some of the great resources, plug, within the on the Microbit website itself as well. Cool. So, any other questions?
I think we're good. So our next session starts at 1:25. So between 1:25 my time, which is 6:25 your time, Nick.
It is, yes, indeed. I was thinking 1:25. It's not 1:25 here. It's
Sorry.
6:20. It's 6:15.
So just as a reminder, there's the session chat and then there's the event chat. So please take time to review both chat streams so you can network with as many people as possible. Try the networking feature out, click on networking, and see who you get paired with to have a 3-minute conversation, say hey and what you're working on. It's a neat little experience. Check out the expo, get yourself a drink of water and a stretch, and a huge thank you to Nick for sharing his experiences and Microbit Classroom, because like he said, it's a bit of a secret possibly. So get in there and start using it to help scaffold for your students the coding experience. And now you can do it in multiple languages thanks to Richard's little hack there. So thanks, Nick. We'll see you online at #MicrobitLive, and check out the sessions, the networking, and have a fantastic rest of your session. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for playing as well, those people who joined in live.
Great work.